So, folks, I've got a burning question. What is winning? I mean, really, how do you win in this day and age with everything that we're up against, right? I mean, there's many different perspectives, and I bet some of you probably think you're on top of the game. Others are just still trying to figure it out like the rest of us. But if you walk with me for a moment, I'm going to offer a perspective. And hopefully by the end of this, we're on the same page. So I'm going to start with me. A little about me. I kind of grew up with a first mentality, meaning I wanted the best of things. And I thought that if I did the right things, if I worked hard enough, if I showed up, that I could have the best. Matter of fact, not that I could just have it, but that I was entitled to it and that I deserved it. I mean, I hated waiting in line. Waiting in line made no sense to me. And then traffic? Everybody stuck on one road when there's multiple roads going the same direction? What gives, right? See, I was a problem solver. I was a technical major, so I figured if I had the right logic and information, I could manage through and problem solve anything. I could plan every day and every dollar of my life right now as far out as I could see and arrive there as long as I could just stay ahead of the game. That was my mindset. So I go to a school and they tell me, hey, if you get this degree, you're entitled to this lifestyle, you deserve this much money, and this is how you're going to live. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's mine. I'm going to sign up for that degree. I'm going to go get it. Right? But along the way, I learned a few things. And by my early 30s, that word deserve, I wasn't too fond of it anymore. You see, I come to realize that I could be the strongest and still lose the fight. I could be the fastest and still show up late. Matter of fact, I could be the smartest in the room and still not have a clue. But what's worse, folks, is I realized that I could do everything right and still lose everything. And that's the reality of the world that we live in. So I learned a few lessons along the way. But then I see this in my children, my 6-year-old, and I begin to wonder if this need to be first is innate to the flesh because she's super competitive. She's got to be first at everything. I mean, first to get her shoes on, first to get dressed in the morning, first in the car, first to finish her plate, first to get her pajamas on, you name it. In her little dictionary next to the word first is her face and her name, and you better not have her 4-year-old sister or her 2-year-old brother getting away, because boy, they're going to have a price to pay, right? But honestly, as adults, we're really not much different, are we? I mean, let's think about the world we live in. Let's think about all of us. We're in a culture, in a society that is obsessed with being first. And I mean, we work for things. We work for that house, that car, that pension, that bonus, that family vacation, whatever it is, we work for it. And if we work long enough, we say, you know what, I deserve that. I'm entitled to that because I worked hard. I should get my retirement because I worked here longer. I should be paid more because I know more, I've done more, and I was here first. That's the world we live in. That's the mindset, right? But it's not just in working and earning. I mean, we have a mindset still that says we are what we do, or what people think about us, or we are what we have. But even the way we eat, even the way we shop, even the way we socialize, I mean, we are an Amazon Prime, microwave, drive-through society who thrives off of likes and hits on our page. We're going to forget how to shop, how to have real conversations, and how to cook a meal eventually. And oh boy, if you've ever seen someone when that Instacart shows up late or wrong, when that Amazon takes 3 days instead of 2, when that drive-through takes more than 10 minutes, the spirit of entitlement sets in, the expectations aren't met, and you see wrath. That's our culture. That's our society. But what's interesting about all that is that none of those things I mentioned, none of them are guaranteed. All of them are subjective to so many factors. And what's worse, and none of them are eternal. They are all carnal and temporary. I don't care how big your casket is when you leave here, you can't take that stuff with you. And that's the harsh truth. But this mindset of being first, it trickles into even the church, even how we view salvation and grace. You see, we see a saint, a Christian who's just living in a life that should be upheld, right? That's doing great and wonderful things, and we respect that and we honor that, and we look at them and we compare them to ourselves and we say, wow, I don't think that I deserve even half of God's grace that she does. Look what she does for the community. Even worse, we'll say, man, if God has to make a choice between which one of us are going to heaven, if I'm standing next to her, I don't have a chance. But here's the truth, folks. That's not how God sees it. His ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. Let's talk about how God sees it. You see, we think we're all standing in chronological order based on merit and works, or how soon we were born, or how long we've been saved. Well, if that's the case, go ahead and get back in line behind Adam and Eve and wait your turn. But that's not what's happening. What I love about Jesus is that he flips it all over. He turns over the tables. He upends the pyramid. And when you go to Matthew chapter 20, verse 16, here's what he says. He says, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Powerful, simple, but powerful, and comes from the parable of the vineyard workers. So in biblical times, if you had a vineyard, there was a manager, and that manager would go out into the market and look for day laborers. If you were a day laborer, you were probably on the bottom end of society. Meaning if you weren't hired for a job that day, you weren't going to get paid and you probably weren't going to eat. So you were out there first thing in the morning when those managers were out there looking for people to work in the vineyard. And if you're picked in the morning, great. But if you're still standing out there at 5 p.m., you're probably not going to eat. But Jesus, when he tells the parables, he always challenged the status quo. He always upends the triangle, and this is how he tells the story. He says, in this vineyard, the manager goes out in the morning and hires workers. He goes out in the afternoon and goes out again in the evening at 5 o'clock and takes the last of them, brings them all there, and pays them all a day's wage. So that's probably not adding up for some of y'all. Wait a minute. You mean the people that got there in the morning got paid as much as those that got there in the afternoon and the evening? Exactly. And here's how the manager in that story responds to the complaints. You see, the worker says, listen, I took the heat of the sun. I was here all day doing all this work, and you're going to pay him the same as you paid me? I don't agree with that. To which the manager responds, I agreed to pay you all a day's wage. I paid you a day's wage. It is mine to do with as I please. So go on now. What Jesus is trying to teach us here is how he handles his grace and salvation for us. It's his to give freely as he chooses. So now that we understand what God says about being first, what about you? Where are you? Are you winning? Do you think you're winning now? Did you feel like more of a winner before this conversation started? Are you in a different place? I wonder. Where are you at in line? I pray that you're not one of the people impacted by recent government shutdowns. But if you are, I hope you're taking this time in humility to seek the Lord. Maybe you're the fortunate and the grace of God is upon you and you're still gainfully employed. I pray that you're extending God's grace on your life and reaching down and picking up your brothers and sisters who are less fortunate right now. That's what God would have us do. But you and every individual, please know something. You are not what you do. It's not about your position. It's about your heart posture. And I just want you to sit there for a moment. And as a matter of fact, I want you to just paint a picture in your spirit of what it would be like if all of us, all at the same time, even just for one day, flip the script like Jesus did and put the last first and the first last. You're probably thinking, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? Uplift the homeless. Elevate the child care providers, the firemen, the police officers. Put the last first and the first last and extend God's grace. Walk in humility. What would the world be like if even for a day we all did that together? What a beautiful picture, right? So for all of us, body of Christ, church, let's just think about something and let's realize and internalize the truth here. You are not what you do. You are not what you have. You're not what you have. You are not what people say about you. You are God's beloved. But even more so, what's important as I close is to understand this. God's grace is his to do with however he pleases. But for us, it's not about being first. It's about being faithful. Be well and be blessed.